Franco Preo from Fresh Air Carpet Cleaning. How are you, Franco?
I'm very well, thank you, Michael.
Very rested.
Very rested, yes. I've got the nice tan happening, which is one of the perks of working. You get to do other things as well.
Yeah, having your own business and enjoy it. Mind you, you've been at your business for how many years now?
April 30th sees 30 years.
30 years.
30 years.
Well, you deserve the holiday.
Thank you. I'm glad someone thinks so.
But you came in this morning and you said, look, there's a lot of myths around stain protections and things like that. And I thought, that's a good idea, because we do see the TV commercials, and not knocking them, but we do see, that we had Pro Heart, didn't we?
That's right, yeah.
Painting pictures on carpet with
which is a
out
little
the
bit misleading, and there are reasons for that. But look, stain protectors are great. They're fantastic. They absolutely 100% do work.
Right.
If they're applied correctly. Okay, and that's one of the biggest things. It's just that, spraying something and spritzing it across the carpet doesn't mean it's going to bond and do the job properly. And the other thing is that also it's a protector, not a proofer. Very big difference between the two. So a lot of people have very high expectations. So when you have a stain protection on something, you can throw anything at it, and as the old Pro Heart video showed, they just lady with a scrubbing brush and it magically disappears. Real world ain't the case.
Ain't the case.
Yeah.
No. And I think that's probably one of the things. I think that's a good point you made. It's the expectations of the product rather than the realities of what the product is there for.
Well, I think that's why one of the reasons why that ad eventually got pulled. It was building up too much expectation. So the assumption was that anything hit the carpet would come off it. Yeah. But there are things that can get through. Even from the warranty side of it, from brand new, there was a thing called a dynamic spill. Okay, right. So a dynamic spill is when you get the old cup of coffee that's really hot and it drops off the top of the table from height. So now what you've got working against you is you've got pressure from gravity, and it's speeding up and hitting the carpet at quite an impact. And also you've got heat. Heat expands things, doesn't it? When they get hot, they get bigger and they swell up that little bit. And so it creates all these wonderful little cracks and fissures in your protector, because it's only a coating on the fibre. Yeah. Once that protector coating has got a little bit of an aberration there, that whatever it is, the coffee or tea in this case, can get through, gets trapped in the fibre, then it cools down and it's there. They will not guarantee against those sorts of spills because they just cannot.
Okay, so when people are actually reading that, it's not a cop-out from the manufacturers,
no,
it's just a reality.
It's a physical reality, that's right, yeah. So in those sorts of cases, you're going to have some sort of penetration. Now, even if it's a cold spill and it's just a glass that's just been knocked over on the carpet, so there's no pressure involved, the other expectation is, oh yeah, the carpet cleaner will get it out later, I'll just leave it. Once again, that's just not feasible. There is always going to be a point where there's going to be a break or crack in there somewhere, and it's going to penetrate, but over time. It just takes a lot longer to get there, but if you leave it, it will still penetrate. So the idea is a protector buys you time to deal with it so that it doesn't become an issue, but it won't stop it altogether.
It won't stop it altogether. Now, there is some protectors out there, and I've seen them advertising, you can do it yourself, and as you said, they do work, but you mentioned earlier something about, but it's the application of them. Okay,
now they rely on that fibre that you're dealing with being clean, okay, and especially in the case of the water-based ones, they have to be prepared in a specific way for that product to be able to bond to the fibre and do its job. If you don't, all that's going to happen is you're going to spray it on, it's going to fall straight off again. And so you don't have the protection. And that's a problem that people have built up a resistance to companies like mine coming in and putting a stain protector on because, it just doesn't work. Yes, it's been really bastardised over the years. A lot of people have been trying to make a quick cop out of it. So in some cases, I've known the big guys have actually just sprayed fresh water over the carpet. The clients, unaware of what they're doing, as far as they're seeing someone spray some stuff over it, and that's their product. Oh, it's got no odour. Well, it doesn't have any real great odour anyway.
Yes.
So they're none the wiser. They think they paid for a protector and got absolutely nothing, or they dilute it too much, or they don't have the carpet specifically prepared, or it's not groomed in as it should be. Don't do any of those steps, or just shortcut one of those, the product just won't work.
I can't believe someone would go into somebody's house, well, I probably can, and just spray water. and miss the water and go, there you go. It'll be a bit damp, but don't worry about that.
Yeah.
It'll
Look,
dry.
there are all sorts. There was even one company around a couple of years ago that used to literally all they did was come in with a scrubber and water. If the carpet was dirty, they'd charge you extra for the detergent. And the scrub the carpet, take their $45 and run out the door.
Really?
Okay, so there are people around there. You really need to be aware of the fact that a lot of times, if there is a cheap price, there's a price you're going to pay for it eventually.
And this is where you're always saying, we're going to harp on this, is that make sure they're a member of wherever you are in the world, make sure they're a member of a reputable carpet cleaning association. Now in WA.
We've got the Carpet Cleaning Association of WA, that's correct. Yep. So that is should be one of your go-to points. So look at the people that are in there.
Yeah.
We've now currently got around about 45, 46 members, so there's quite a few people spread throughout the metro area, a few down through the south regional areas from Esperance right through to Dunsborough. So there's quite a choice out there for people to go to.
And when you were saying like there's a way to prepare the carpet, so I suppose that's another checkpoint you can put in yourself. You can say, well, what are you going to do to prepare my carpet for this?
Yes.
So if you just, well, nothing, I'll just give it a quick vacuum.
Yeah, well, if it's brand new, that's fine. That's
fine.
Perfectly applicable because it's not had anything hit the fibre yet. But I mean, especially in upholstery, you're sitting on the fibre and you're got oils from your sweat and it's penetrating to those. That needs to get removed. Otherwise, how is that product going to bond to the fibre? It needs a fibre to bond to, not oils that are already present. Okay, so that's with your standard type protectors at least anyway. But it needs to be cleaned off and it needs to be in a slightly acidic state. So it needs to have a special rinsing agent applied to it to get it to that acidic state that you have a better chance of that product bonding to the fibre properly. Now the other thing, and a lot of guys, they do all that and then they miss out the final step because we just can't be bothered. And that is that you spray it on and then you're supposed to actually work it into the fibre. Okay, because you think about it, if you spray something, you've got all these little micro dots of stuff stuck on the fibre, but you've got all these little bits that are spread on the fibre and also all these gaps in between those little bits. So doing that brushing action spreads it over the fibre so you actually get a coating over the fibre. Then and only then will the product work.
It's a bit like when you see the detergent ads for the washing machine ads and they get a cap and they put it on a stain, but you always see them rub it over the stain.
It needs to penetrate somehow, that's right.
Yes,
yeah.
They don't just tip it on and go, hey, we'll just let it see if it can do it by itself.
Yeah,
they actually always seem to pour it on and then the ladies give it a bit of a rub or whatever and then just let it sit there, but it's actually penetrated then.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's the same idea, you're aiming to get the coating on there properly.
That's right, and it needs to have that happen, otherwise it won't work. You might have put the right dilution rate down, you might have prepared the carpet properly as well, or the upholstery, whatever the case may be. But if you don't do that final step, you've just wasted it. And you've wasted your client's money, and they're going to say, oh, it didn't work. Yeah, of course it didn't work, because it wasn't applied properly.
So you do that, and so as you said, it's sometimes if you don't do it properly, then it's not applied properly, so it's ineffective. If people are looking at stain protection, let's start with new carpets. Is there any specific things on the carpet when they should be looking for the type of stain protector, or are they all pretty good? It should just say what's on there.
It will just tell you whether it's protected or not.
Right.
Okay, and look, it doesn't really matter which brand you're looking at. They all work. They're all the same basic chemistry. But some carpets don't have a stain protector inbuilt from the manufacturing end.
Yeah.
And with the synthetics, that's probably something you might want to put aside and think about going for something else instead.
Right.
Okay, a couple of dollars spent earlier on just means better longevity out of the carpet and better workability for you at the end of the day.
When you're saying the synthetics and they're not protected, does that mean they're hard to protect a synthetic once you get them?
No, you can do it, but it's never going to be as good an application as from the factory, because from the factory everything's going to get coated 100% guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. With us, it's not going to be as good, and what we're more often than not what we're doing is we're topping up what is actually set there from the factory.
Right.
So we don't have to do 100%. To try to get a 100% right through to the base of the carpet, we've got to flood the carpet, and that's probably not a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So really, in essence, what you're doing is you're reapplying and topping it up, so to keep it at an optimum level.
Is there a length of time from getting your new carpet and it's got the stain protector on it? Is there a recommended time when you should be doing this top-up?
As far as that top-up goes, the general rule of thumb is 5 years or 3 cleans.
Right.
Okay. So by the time you've done 3 cleans, it's degraded. It'll come off a little bit each time.
Yep.
You've got to remember it's a coating on the fibre. And of course, trafficking over the carpet as well, or just using your upholstery, that's wearing it off as well. There's an abrasion that's going to be occurring. So that's why I'm saying that doesn't need to be topped up. So really, every time it gets cleaned, it should just get a quick flash over the top to keep it at its absolute premium level.
Now, when you guys come to top up, do you need to know what protection is actually, what type or what branded protection is on there?
No. You'll find that they all work quite happily together.
Right.
Okay, so as I said, they're the same basic chemistry.
How do I know you're not spraying water? Like what? Oh my God.
Well, we can actually show you the bottle that we use. Yeah, here we are. We have product X, and that's going onto your carpet. Okay? And there's various levels of them. There are some that are just your straight standard stain protectors, and all they do is protect against soil retardants. So soil retardants, basically.
Yeah.
Then there's another one that will have, particularly for your nylon carpets, your acid dye resistors. Okay, which is what the manufacturers tend to use, because those will help to prevent your food colourings from penetrating in, and they're the really important ones. Things like your Fanta and your raspberry cordials and what have you.
You've got the little kids.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
So the ones with the acid dye resistors are the superior product as far as that goes. They give you a broader spectrum.
Right.
Okay. So there's those couple of things that you need to look at. Now, to throw the cat in amongst the pigeons,
so to speak.
Yes. There is also something else which is completely different, okay, and that's the one that uses the nanotechnologies, which I'm an agent for here in WA. In fact, there's no one else in WA that can do it. I'm an exclusive agent for it, and that's a microseal product. Now, that one there is not a coating on the fibre, okay? That one there penetrates into the fibre, and that's where it works very differently. So it's protecting from the in out.
Oh, so it's actually already inside the fibre.
It actually penetrates into the fibre, so it's permanent. It's a single application, and that's it for the life of the carpet. So whilst it costs a lot more, and this stuff is hell expensive, I have to say.
Yeah.
But over the life of that carpet, you end up saving a lot of money. Okay, and so it just works better. Also, the other thing with it is that things like your polyester carpets and your polypropylenes, which have very low absorbency to moisture, your normal standard stain protectors don't work.
They just can't grab hold.
They can't grab hold. So you can put them on there and they'll just fall straight off. And a lot of people are falling into that trap as well. They're saying, oh, it didn't perform any better. Yes, because you had polypropylene carpet, someone put a stain protector on it, not understanding what it can or cannot do. There are limitations. And of course, it wasn't working at all.
Wow. Okay,
whereas the microseal product will penetrate and it will work. And so you can use it on any fibre right through to leather. Leather is actually a fibre, believe it or not. It's fibrous material. But it will work on absolutely everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you say it's nanotechnology?
Yes.
So how does it actually work? Because you being a bit of a chemist yourself,
okay,
your little lab.
So what it does, it actually penetrates through to the fibre. It has a modified solvent base in it, and it's a silicon base as well, rather than being your phyllogenol base that the other ones are. So it's a lot lower VOCs as well than some of the other ones could be water or solvent products. The solvent ones especially, you don't wear a mask with one of those and you're high as a kite. Yeah, they're not that great to use in that regard. They work fine in the right situation, especially with water sensitive fabric. They're great. But once again, they still have those same limitations as water-based ones do. The microseal, as I said, instead of being a coating that goes onto the fibre, is now you've got something that's going into the fibre. So you can't scrub it off because it's in the fibre.
And as performance-wise against the one that's on the outside, how are you finding it just in your short time to using this one now?
Okay, it works just as well, if not better. The other thing is that it also gives fantastic UV protection as well. It's not meant to, it just happens that it works really well for that. It's not 100%, don't get me wrong, it's not 100%. But it works really well as a very strong UV filter, and it also imparts a certain amount of fire retardancy to it as well.
Oh, wow.
Once again, I'm not going to sit there and claim that it's going to be the be-all and end-all. If you need a situation where you need a fire retardant, you have to use a fire retardant, which with the microseal has a product for that as well. Right. Okay. Once again, really, really good. Works fantastically. But yeah, it is completely different to your standard ones that anybody else out in the marketplace is going to be using and applying to the carpet.
Well, I know the UV protection would be a big one for Australian climate,
Yes,
where we just
yeah.
get the sun just pounds in through our windows, and a lot of us have got great big windows.
Yeah, that's right. And especially if you're out near the beach somewhere, you want to enjoy a view or something.
We've got the carpet right up to the window.
Right up to the window. But look, I've been on a couple of jobs in the last few months actually, where people have looked at their lounge suite, and after I've cleaned it, it's like, oh, you've taken the colour out of it. No. Because you can see that from there down, it's the original colour, and from there above, it's different colour. It's lighter, and it's now you're seeing it because I've pushed it out to clean it, and that's where the windowsill was sitting. So below there, it's fine. And bearing in mind that these are only 6 months old.
Yes.
But the colour has already been started to be affected.
Wow.
It is absolutely that feral. So if you don't have some sort of window tinting on your windows to try and filter that out, it does have a significant impact, and it doesn't take very long for it to happen, especially not on a cotton lounge suite. They will tend to lose their colour quite rapidly.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So when you go in with nanotechnology, I'm just trying to think, so it doesn't, so if someone's had, say, carpet protection put on, like 3 cleans are gone, they're going, look, we're due for another one. It doesn't clash, it can just...
No,
it can
perfectly
just go
compatible,
through.
because once again, it's not going onto it, it's going into it.
Into it,
So
yeah.
the other thing is that with that, you don't even have to clean the fibre. It's no preparation. I can actually just go in and spray it on, because it penetrates into the fibre. Even if it's got anything sitting on it, it penetrates.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. Now, I actually had an instance with this stuff as well, that I had someone who's a supplier of fabrics who wanted to test it to see how it goes. And what we were doing is I was going to prepare a sample that was sprayed and prepare a virgin sample that was going to be sent off to a European testing facility. And so, we did that, no problem. And off it went, and then got a phone call from the supplier, and he said, "You did put them into separate bags, didn't you?" No, they're in the same box. They're in bags separately, so that we can identify which ones are which, but they're in the same box. And he's like, "Bad move." He said, "By the time it gets to Europe, it will have actually penetrated across."
Really?
I was like, oh. So there goes that test out the window. They're both the same. Yes, that's right. Yeah, they are.
Oh, they would actually, it will penetrate across.
Yeah, it actually, because it was, look, the stuff takes about 5 days to cure properly, and of course we sprayed it and then packed it and off it went. So there was going to be some transference coming across.
The learnings we have.
Yes, yeah. So that was that, but that was interesting. And as I said, it's a completely different technology. If it had been just normal standard types of protectors, wouldn't have been an issue. But this one here is very, very different in its application.
So for leathers, and I can imagine the micro suede and those types of suede fabrics, it still work on things like that? Because they're very popular lounge suites.
Yeah, and your traditional fabric protectors on your macro suedes, they're polyester. They don't actually work that well.
No.
Okay, because of the fact that polyester is pretty non-absorbent. It doesn't accept a lot of moisture into it. And so you can spray it on there, and it's not going to do a great deal for you. I don't think it's actually worth the money you're spending to do it myself. They do clean up reasonably well. They soil up really rapidly because they're oleophilic, which means they're oil loving. Of course, we got oil in our skin, and
We've got one. I can vouch for that.
Yeah, and I just go there, it gets this beautiful grungy film over it, which cleans off quite readily.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we got grandkids, so we got plenty of grunge.
More grunge than Nirvana. Whereas the microseal will work on those quite happily. The other thing is that with those fabrics as well, some people say, well, because the water-based doesn't work, we can use the solvent ones. Wrong. If you use a solvent-based one of those, like the ones you can get from your Bunnings and what have you, they're the spray-on ones, and they're a solvent-based. Yeah, they work probably a little bit better, but the problem is if you put too much on it, those fibres or those fabrics have a material bonded onto the back of them to give them some sort of strength.
Yeah.
Okay, you spray the solvent onto it, it dissolves those glues and just goes all loose and baggy, and that's the end of that fabric. So which way do you go? Microseal reed is the only one that can actually work on those. The solvent, as I said, it is a solvent base, but it's a modified solvent that will not affect those sorts of glues. You can throw it on there and just not worry about it, which makes my life a lot simpler, I can assure you.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and the other thing with that one as well is, as I said, there's no preparation, and I don't have to actually scrub it in either, because it penetrates in and spreads.
Wow. So you're actually the agent for NWA, exclusive agency.
Exclusive, that's right. Yep.
Wow.
At this point in time, yes, it was accepted in by invitation only, so they approached me. They knew of my background, obviously. I've been around just a couple of years. 30 of them.
Yeah.
And so, I've got a fair background for knowledge and quality and time spent in the industry. So they thought it was a shoe-in for what they wanted. Because of the fact that they need someone who knows what they're doing, can apply the product properly, and essentially is the quality level that they're searching for.
Yeah. It's interesting, we talk about carpet protection, and that's what we've been talking about now. But I've noticed quite a few times, and we're talking about this off air as well, when it comes to the carpets, not just the protection actually stopping dirt going on there, but actually protection in like health and safety. We're starting to see some of the carpets got these, what I call ripples in them.
Yeah.
You know, I've tripped over a couple myself and going, what's going on here?
Yeah, so that official term for that is rucking. So
Right.
if a carpet rucks, it gets that kind of waviness to it because there's something going on in the back of the carpet, generally speaking, that is creating that. So the carpet's stretching, it's growing.
Right.
And it can be a major issue. Now, once upon a time, all your carpets were pretty well, they were jute backed. Okay, so that hessiany type material that you see on the back of the carpets.
Yeah.
And once they're put into place, they're fairly stable and they work quite nicely as long as they're stretched in properly.
You used to put those strips around the outside with the little nails on.
Yep, that's
and
correct.
then
Yeah,
hook it on there.
Yeah, that's right. So you hook it over the top, and as long as you put a good taut stretch into it, they work quite nicely. I mean, my own carpets, as I said at the time, they're 28 years old. In the traffic area from my master bedroom through the ensuite, which gets used the most, not because I'm dirty, but it's a high traffic area. It's just starting to show signs of a little bit of rucking. But I mean, 28 years down the track, you've got to expect the carpets.
I mean, it is a fabric after all.
Well, that's right, exactly.
Yes.
So that obviously was a well-fitted carpet. It's never given me any dramas at all. It's just getting to that point now where I'm thinking about changing it. But then I've been called into a lot of inspections recently because of the fact that the carpets have stretched and grown and had all those sorts of issues, to the point where I actually had one a couple of weeks ago where the lady concerned was quite concerned with her carpets because it was quite badly rucked right at the top of the stairs, and a couple of times she and her teenage kids had nearly tripped over it down the staircase.
Oh.
So she said, enough is enough, and decided that they needed to do something about it. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But I was called in to find out why it's happening.
I was going to say, is it the carpet's fault? Is it the fitting fault? Is it a combination?
Look, sometimes it can be a carpet fault. Now, what we're finding now these days that because it comes from a third world country or countries, it's a very cheap product, but it's become very unstable in its supply, because a lot of these places have got all sorts of conflicts going on and things like that. So, things of that nature have stopped the supply coming through quite as continuously as the carpet mills needed. So they started looking to other things, and one of the things they did go quite a few years ago was the action back. So it's a really stiff polypropylene backing, which carpet layers, for very good reasons, hated. Okay, it's really rough. If you happen to be walking through a house and you've got a tight corner to get around, it will just scrape the corners off walls. It was like sandpaper, really coarse sandpaper. For them trying to carry it, it was horrible. Trying to fit it, it was really hard to stretch. Just didn't like having to give it all. And one of the things they used to say is that if you were laying it on a cold day, you had to warm it up to be able to get the stretch into it, to be taut enough so that it didn't give any problems further down the track, which of course, you
How are you going to warm it up?
Well, I mean, the idea is a lot of times that they would have to leave it in the house for 24 hours to let it acclimatise to the house and then lay it. But if you're in a domestic situation where someone's living there, how are you going to have all these piles of carpet laid up all over the place for them to lay in 24 or 48 hours later? It just wasn't practical. And so they did have a few problems with that. In fact, one customer a few years back who had it was an Antron carpet. Antron fibre, which was basically a nylon, but it had the polypropylene backing on it. And he called his the barometer. Really? Because depending on the temperature of the day, sort of gave him an indication of how wavy his carpet was. I mean, I went in there to clean the carpet because, of course, I'm using hot water extraction, so that's heating the carpet up. And by the time I'd finished, you could have gone, you'd ridden your skateboards up and down this and used it as skate ramps. So it was ridiculous. But that's when he said to me, look, don't worry about it. It'll settle down. I know about it. I said, because I was, said, look, this is how it's going to be. But he said, look, from day to day, it changes. He said, some days it'll be taut and nice and flat, and the next day, it'll be all over the place. So he said, it's my barometer.
Wow. And what's that backing called?
It's action back.
Do they have it anymore? Or they got rid of it?
Oh no, we still do have it out in the marketplace. Okay, but what's coming up now more and more often is what they call soft back. Much nicer to deal with. It makes the carpet nice and soft underfoot. When you're walking over it, it looks and feels fantastic as far as that goes. But if it's not fitted properly, it is creating issues. Okay. As long as it's fitted correctly, the carpet, the backing does work quite nicely. It certainly doesn't have the intrinsic problems of that harshness that the action back did. Once again, soft back sort of implies it's quite nice.
It's a good name for action back, isn't it? Because it does have an action.
Yeah,
on the weather.
Yeah, but the soft back, it solves those issues, and it's nice and soft and it feels wonderful. But the problem there is, if you don't match it up with the right underlay, if your underlay is that little bit too soft, because that every time you're walking over it, it's stretching that back that little bit, and if it's too stretched, it'll start to give. And if it's not fitted properly, and I remember years ago, some carpet layers threw this term around, they were sort of having a bit of a laugh and saying it's what we call the 5-year stretch, where you come in and you go, bang, 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 yeah, it's in, yeah, it looks good now. But you know that within a few years, because it's not taut enough, it's going to start to give, and then you start having issues with the carpet. They were your real cheap layers. Okay, a lot of times you're getting cheap prices on carpets for the same product. The devil's in the detail. It's whatever they're putting into the back of the carpet, the laying. It's the whole package you've got to look at. Just because you're getting a cheap price on the same product, it doesn't necessarily mean you're getting the same level of service that you need to make that carpet serviceable along as life progresses. Now, with the manufacturers with those softback carpets, they specify they must be power stretched. Using a knee kicker is where you fall down with those things. If you've got someone that just comes in and gives it the quick nudge with a knee kicker.
I've seen those knee kickers.
Yeah, yeah. And
carpet layers get these funny shaped knees from them.
Yeah, and you find that you don't see too many old carpet layers because of that fact. They can't survive in the industry for a long period of time because their knees give out. Yeah. Oddly enough. Okay, but the power stretcher works in a completely different way. It's basically a big long pole. It's got the same head as your normal knee kicker, but it butts up against one wall, goes right across the room, and there's a big lever on top of it. You go, power stretcher, and that really brings it up nice and taut. Really? Okay, so if they're not laid initially with that, you're probably going to have a problem with a softback carpet further down the line.
So that's a pretty good check then when you're having your carpet laid. Yes. It's one of them.
Yeah, yeah.
And you start someone with a knee kick, you're going, nah, guys.
That's right. So I've done, I don't know how many inspections now for that same reason, and pretty much, I'd say 99% of those cases, they weren't power stretched, which is why it had that problem. And then they say, well, they've come in, they've re-stretched it 2 or 3 times, but every time, what do? They just gave it another quick nudge. Yeah. And so it kept on having the same problem. And once again, if you are going to have your carpets re-stretched, carpets, sometimes they will stretch for whatever reason. Yep. But if you don't take the furniture out of the room, you're not giving the carpet a stretch. You're giving that little patch between the furniture and the wall a stretch, but the rest of it, and there needs to be an even stretch over the whole lot for it to work properly, it's not getting seen to as it should be. Right.
So, furniture out of the room.
Yes.
So, power stretching. If your carpet is having that rucking, or if something is being laid, are there a couple of check things you can do yourself? Well, let's say when it's first being laid, is there a couple of things you can make sure they're going to do properly? Use these things, watch them. Yeah. Okay, and that's the best advice I can give you. A lot of times they're going to do a better job anyway if you are watching over them. And I'm not saying all of them, I'm not degrading every single carpet layer out there, because there are some fantastic ones. I know a couple and they're absolutely fantastic. Yeah, that's right. They're tradespeople. Yeah. You know? But like any trade, there's always going to be the one that just wants to shortcut it. You know, they're in too much of a rush. They've got 30 jobs to get through today, and you're just one of them. It's like bang, 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 get it in and get it out as quick as possible. Yeah. Okay, and that's where you start having issues. If you've got a person that comes in and does their job properly, you won't have an issue. Yeah. Okay. Some guys I've seen have done joins, and they blame the carpet, and the joins, you can see the joint from one end to the other. It's skewed, it's bowed, it's done all sorts of weird and wonderful things. Next layer comes along, and it's like, okay, where's that joint? I know it's here somewhere, and I have to go hunting for it. Yes. Yeah.
because a person knew their job properly and did the job properly.
I had that experience with a carpet at one time. We're doing a big commercial fit out. You know, some of the spans in commercials, carpets. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, you're going to see every mark in this because it's a beautiful carpet.
Yeah.
And he finished it and we walked in afterwards and it was
Immaculate.
Where did you join it?
Yep. Yep.
And he was smiling and carrying on. Yeah, you can have a look. Well, we looked. We couldn't find.
Yeah, and that's the difference between one person and another. Look, I know one particular gentleman here in Perth who's about to retire.
Yeah.
And the way we met is we were both called into a job where it was a big area of bleached carpet.
Right.
Now they had a piece of carpet to be able to blend into it, or to patch into it, but it wasn't big enough to cover the whole patch. So he came along and he installed the new piece to replace that area, and I coloured the rest.
Yeah. Wow.
And when I walked in there, it was amazing. I saw the bleach stain originally, how it was.
Yeah.
Then I've walked in there and there's just there's that much left that I had to colour it, but there was just this straight line. And I'm thinking, where the hell's the rest of it? And literally, I was in there. Yeah, there it is. I found it. But I had to really search for it. And by the time I finished the colour, anybody who walked into the room would never know that anything had ever happened to it. He was brilliant. Now I'm going to be getting him to train Carl up with his skills as well, so that we can do that in the future as well. Because the fact he's extremely qualified.
So talented
he's
people,
just so
isn't
talented, and I thought if we're going to get trained by anyone, then he's the person to do it.
It's amazing. You find these people, it doesn't matter what industry or trade, and I'm the same. I find someone that I just go, wow, I want to learn from you.
Exactly.
I may not quite be as good as you, but at least I'm aiming high.
Yeah. So that's why I want to get Carl in on that.
Yeah.
I'm a bit beyond that sort of stuff, unfortunately, because that thing there won't let me. It doesn't like going up and down off the carpet that much. Yeah. And especially not if I had to use a knee kicker for any reason, I'd suffer for it. So Carl's nice and young. Yeah. And he's keen. He's got a little bit of background in there before he's done a bit of carpet fitment already. Yeah. We're going to get him to start doing that kind of patching, the invisible mending.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Carl, because he is younger, but he's also skilled and he's also pedantic. Yes. Which is a nice trait to have.
Oh yeah. Especially if you've got someone working for you. I mean, I've managed to find a really good employee in Carl. He's just absolutely brilliant. The feedback I get about his work is beyond redemption. He's just really great.
Yeah, I constantly see the feedback, especially when people do the postings, put them on your website and so forth. So they're amazed, and it's like, I had 3 or 4 people before you. How did you manage to do it? And I remember the real estate lady who couldn't get stains on the carpet, and you went and helped her for me, and you said, "Oh, I'll just pop along, have a look, I'll see what's." She rang me and goes, "It looks like you put a new carpet down."
Yeah, she's a great ambassador now.
But I suppose that's what happens when you do good work, isn't it?
Yeah.
So people out there that have, say, having some carpet issues, say they're having some stain issues, or they're just a bit concerned, they're like us, we've got the grandkids coming through now, and we're going, maybe we should put the protection back on the carpet as well as furniture.
Yes.
What's the best way of contacting yourself and Carl?
Okay, well, you can just phone us on the office number, which is 0418 914 097. You can speak to either Deb or Jay there, and they'll be able to take the details of the job, give you rough sort of quotes on what needs to be done, and be able to do a booking for you as well. If there's a real issue with it that they can't handle, they can patch straight through to me, and I can talk to you on the spot. That's not a problem either. Or you can just contact us through the website. There's a contact page on there, info@facc.com.au. You can put your query down on that. And there's also the Facebook page, the Fresh Air Carpet Cleaning Facebook page. There's a little thing in there where you can get a quote through that as well. Or if you just want to message me and say, look, I have this particular issue, then I'm on Facebook pretty much every day and have a look in there and can get a response to you pretty quickly.
One thing you said there, they've got a particular issue, and I will say that if you've got a warranty issue going on, or you don't think that your carpet is performed, you help people, and you help out on both sides. This is what I like about you. You can work for the carpet people and you work for the actual customer. Okay. So you give a very unbiased opinion. And sometimes it might not be the one me as a customer wants.
Exactly.
But at least it'll be honest.
It's an honest opinion. And that's the whole idea of the report. We're actually trying to find out what the issue is. And we're not trying to point the finger of blame at any particular party. It's just what's happened. Why has it happened? Yeah. Okay. So.
And then how do we fix it?
And how do we go ahead and fix that issue for the future? But yeah, certainly it is literally about just finding the issues and working on those.
Yeah, and I think that's a good service to have for people, because too many times, you know, we've got Aunt Sally, Uncle John.
Everyone has an opinion.
I remember this happened to me. And you kind of, in the end, you get so frustrated and angry. Sometimes it's like, hold on, let's get a professional.
Yeah.
Let's see actually what it is. And when you've done it, you find that the actual carpet manufacturers themselves, if it is them, they come to the party. They're quite happy. And
look, if there is a fault, most carpet manufacturers are pretty good. They don't want to
Yeah.
get their good name soiled.
No.
Okay, so they will respond to it in kind. So if there is an issue, there will be something done about it. But it needs to be a proven issue. It's not just a case of like, I think it's bad, so you must replace it. And then they come back and say, well, it wasn't fitted in correctly, so it actually goes back to the retailer, whoever they contracted, or you've done something, or it could be a carpet cleaner's come along and done. It could be a whole raft of issues. Yeah. Sometimes it's an environmental issue. Okay, that has created the problem. It's actually nothing wrong with the carpet intrinsically, but something around the building has created the issue. Yeah. So we need to find out. That's where investigations come into it.
It's fantastic. What's your number once again, Franco?
0418 914 097.